Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Before we get into the episode, I just want to quickly say thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. That's right, Squarespace. If you're planning to finally launch that new business, or just want to show off what you're into, Squarespace can help you do it. Whether you're into photography, painting, cooking, or hey, maybe you're just into nerdy stuff like me, you can build a website to market yourself with Squarespace's easy-to-use design tools. There's dozens of ready-to-go templates to choose from, you never have to download, upgrade, or install anything ever, and you're reformatted for mobile devices automatically. You can also use the surplus of marketing tools and analytics Squarespace gives you access to, so you can see where your site's visitors are coming from, how long they're staying for, and what pages are the most popular. So if you're interested in joining the thousands of other people who've used Squarespace to make their dreams a reality, just go to squarespace.com/BrandonTenold and sign up for your free trial. Then when your site's looking good and ready for launch, use the promo code BrandonTenold for 10% off your first purchase. Alright, let's get into it. Boy, Charles Band really is the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to B-movies, isn't he? And today, I'm going to talk about a movie that he not only produced and directed, but he also brought on 6 other directors to help him out. That means it's going to be 6 times as good. Maybe. The Dungeonmaster, also known as Ragewar, or in some cases Digital Knights, is a 1984 sci-fi anthology movie from producer Charles Band that features 7 different directors, each taking a shot at a different segment, many of whom would go on to work with Charles Band extensively on future movies like John Carl Beechler, David Allen, and Ted Nicolau. But while this approach might lead you to believe this is an anthology of different unrelated stories, it's actually one story with a consistent cast that's just broken up into different segments. Oh, and if anyone's wondering if this movie has anything to do with Dungeons and Dragons, nope! It's just called The Dungeonmaster for some reason. So now that we got the backstory out of the way, let's dig into The Dungeonmaster. I mean, Ragewar, or Digital Knights, whatever, just start the movie. Well, this is weird. The movie just started and it already feels like I skipped to the middle. Some guy's hooked up to sensors and then he starts chasing some girl in slow motion? Okay, there hasn't even been any opening credits yet, and I'm already lost. I can't tell if this part is supposed to be a dream sequence or just a really weird perfume commercial. Introducing Ragewar, the new fragrance by Coco Chanel. Jeez, whenever I have a wet dream, I don't have to run this much. This chick is really playing hard to get. Eventually, though, the guy's able to catch up to her in a room full of dry ice, where she then proceeds to hello. Oh, nice of him to include some full frontal nudity just a couple minutes in, especially since this movie is apparently rated PG-13. Alright. Actually, this opening sequence is supposedly from an alternate European cut of the movie that was not rated PG-13, which makes sense because if it wasn't, this would officially be the most Skinemaxy opening to a PG-13 movie I've ever seen. Unfortunately, before this guy's able to wake up with a stain in his shorts, he's cock-blocked by some rejects from a John Landis movie dream sequence. I don't know why, but there's just something about a slow-motion bitch slap I find hilarious. Okay, I have no idea what the hell is going on, but you got my attention, movie. Oh, and if you're wondering what this opening dream sequence has to do with the rest of the movie, good question. It's never brought up again. Anyway, the guy who was about to cream in his dreams before being rudely interrupted is our main character, Paul Bradford, a nerdy computer technician. And you can really tell he's a computer nerd because he's a decent-looking, in-shape dude who just happens to wear glasses my aunt would have. Look, the dude even exercises. Nerds aren't supposed to do that.
Look, Paul, why don't I give you a ride home, huh? Fine. You know I run every day after work.
I didn't put on these booty shorts for nothing, you know. Make no mistake though, Paul is good with computers because he apparently invented the first Google glasses. In fact, I think these are better than Google glasses because not only can they instantly analyze what's wrong with computers, but he can even control traffic lights with them. Okay, that's pretty impressive. It's also incredibly reckless. He could have caused an accident, but Impressive. As if that wasn't enough, when Paul finds himself short on cash, he even uses the glasses to hack into an ATM machine and steal some money. Which begs the question, how is he short on money? He invented glasses that can do all that back in 1984, and instead of being the founder of a billion-dollar tech company, he's still just some lowly repair technician? This guy is the dumbest genius I've ever seen.
Hi, Cal.
Good evening, Paul. How did the repairs go?
Oh, they went fine.
And he made an artificial intelligence too? Why the hell is he in a small apartment? Steve Jobs should be parking your Ferraris, dude. Anyway, Paul has a girlfriend named Gwen, who by the way is not the girl from the opening scene. Better not tell her about that. Paul asks Gwen to marry him, but she's a little jealous of his relationship with his computer, Cal.
What I've developed with Cal, it's what gives me an edge.
God, every time I think about that experiment you were involved in and how you're able to link up.
Hey, come on, Gwen. It's not his fault he was born with a dick shaped like a floppy disk.
Look, I'm not in love with my computer. I am in love with you.
I only use my computer to jerk off when you're not home. Every guy'll do it eventually, trust me. Well, even if Gwen won't tie the knot with you, you can at least have another dream sequence. And Gwen's actually in this one, so this time you won't have to cheat on her. Unfortunately, not only is Paul blocked by a budget-saving force field, but his eczema is getting worse too. Damn, first those monsters and now this. Paul is really having a hard time busting a dream nut in this movie. I got some bad news for you, Paul. Not only is your girlfriend missing, but I think there's a rock band shooting a video in your living room.
Paul, help me!
Okay, now it really is like a music video. Paul's been brought here by an evil sorcerer played by Richard Mall, who is named...
You are a worthy opponent for Mestima.
Mestima, huh? Okay, not quite as badass as the name Richard Mall had in The Sword and the Sorcerer. Mestima sounds like the name of the perfume they were selling in the opening scene. Yeah, well, even if the name's a little queefy, at least Richard Mall seems to be really getting into the role.
By the power of the Prince of Darkness!
Damn, he just went full Nick Cage with that delivery.
By the power of the Prince of Darkness! I dub thee Excalibrate.
Excalibrate? Hey, that's what I do whenever I see Helen Mirren in that movie. How did you know?
Excalibrate. Cal. X-Cal-B-R.
Yeah, it was a masturbation joke I was doing there, Paul. It's really not hard to figure out. Alright, actually Excalibrate is the full name of Paul's computer, although personally I think just Cal is a better name for it. Excalibrate makes it sound like Gwen has good reason to be jealous.
Every time I think about that experiment you were involved in and how you're able to link up.
The reason Mestima kidnapped Gwen and brought Paul here is because he wants to pit his magic against Paul's technology to see which is superior, and gives Paul a series of challenges.
I, Mestima, have devised 7 challenges. Lose one, and I shall have both your souls.
I got a challenge for him. See if Paul can make some money with all that amazing technology he invented. Guarantee you he loses that one, Mestima. Actually, considering Mestima turns Paul's computer into an even shittier version of the Power Glove, maybe his first challenge is to have Paul beat Ninja Gaiden with that thing. Oh, and apparently Mestima is actually Satan? Okay, not sure why he chose a name like Mestima, but whatever. Anyway, on to our first anthology segment called Ice Gallery, where Paul and Gwen are zapped into an ice cave full of a bunch of Waxworks rejects. And before anybody asks, sure, I might do the Waxworks movies someday.
Oh my God, that's Einstein.
Yeah, and over there is no shit, Sherlock.
That looks like Louis the 16th.
Isn't he the one who invented the guillotine?
Well, if he was, I'll bet you he found a way to profit off it somehow. Oh yeah, I'm not letting that glasses thing go.
Looks like every criminal in the world is here.
Yeah, there's Einstein, Mother Teresa, MLK. They're all here. Oh, and see if you can guess where the scene is going. That's right, the statues come to life, although I'm really not sure why they have one of Taco in this place. Damn, how is Paul gonna rise to this challenge? Okay, looks like Mestima really screwed up by giving him that wristband thingy. Actually, I think that's just an altered version of Paul's computer. So if it can do all that, that's yet another reason why he should be rich. Turns out Paul doesn't even need it though, since he just finds some weird ice crystal grenade that kills them all. Okay, that was a pretty easy challenge.
Your performance was quite good, Excalibrate.
Okay, please stop calling him that. How about something more dignified, like Excalatio or Excalingus?
Where's Gwen?
Isn't love grand?
Alright, as much as I make fun, at least Richard Mall seems to be having a good time chewing the scenery. The second segment is called Demons of the Dead, and it's kind of similar to the first one in that Paul wakes up in a cave and is attacked by monsters. But at least this one lets me do this gag. Wait, hold on a second. Play that again. Oh, see? Yeah, his head's still on. No decapitation drop. Aww. Yeah, well, don't blame me, blame the movie. This segment was directed by John Carl Beechler, a makeup and effects guru who also worked on movies like Ghoulies, Troll, Dolls, not to mention a ton of other movies I featured on this show. And you can really tell Beechler directed this one because he includes a ghoulie in it. And by the looks of it, it just finished crawling up through a toilet.
Greetings, Excalibrate. Welcome to my domain. I am Ratsmith, caretaker of the dead.
Shut up and sing the song from Troll. There, that's better. Actually, maybe I should have this thing sing White Wedding, since it seems to constantly be doing the Billy Idol sneer. And if you're wondering how Paul gets out of this one... Again, that seemed pretty easy.
In a future reality, I shall destroy you.
I reject your reality and I substitute my own.
Oh, what do you know? Paul really is good with computers. He predicted social media. Oh, and yes, this was Adam Savage's catchphrase on Mythbusters. I'm sure I'm totally the first guy to point that out when talking about this movie. Anyway, what's the next challenge, Mestima?
Gwen, are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. I'm having a very bad dream and you just happen to be in it.
Well, earlier Paul had a wet dream and you weren't in it. Hope you don't mind, Gwen. And speaking of pervy dreams... Hey, hands off my girl, Beelzebub. Yeah, great work, Paul. You almost shot your girlfriend. You would think a computer nerd wouldn't be able to match the power of Satan, but when Mestima conjures up a cartoon dragon, Paul just uses his wristband thingy to do the same thing. And I'm just gonna say this again, why isn't he a billionaire? As if this movie couldn't possibly get any more 80s, Mestima then zaps Paul into the middle of a concert being performed by the band Wasp. Let's see what their music's like.
Friends through eternity, loyalty, honesty will stay together through thick or thin.
Huh. Well, they sound a lot different than I was expecting.
You know, now that you mention it, Tough Guys off the Miami Connection soundtrack actually does sound a little bit like a Wasp track. All jokes aside, though, these guys have a major place in cult history. They were right in there balls deep in the rise of satanic panic. So much so that Tipper Gore herself used them as a prime example of what the youths of the 80s shouldn't be listening to. And much like Margaret Thatcher with the video nasties inadvertently making sleazy, gory horror way more popular, Tipper Gore and her PMRC made Fucking Like a Beast way more popular in the 80s. Also, that venue that they're playing at in the scene is the iconic Troubadour in LA, where many heavy metal bands got their start and got recognized. And of course, Wasp did too, for their gnarly antics of soaking the audience with blood, throwing raw meat, and having a hot naked chick on a torture rack. God bless heavy metal.
Okay, didn't know that about Wasp, so thanks, I guess. Anyway, moving on. Save me before Rat goes on stage next. Oh no, all of Paul's technology is helpless against the power of rock. Normally I'd say Paul shouldn't be too worried about Gwen since this movie's PG-13, but we did get a full frontal scene at the beginning, so it might get gory. Eventually Paul figures out that the only way to fight sound is with more sound.
You got to keep the dogs away. You got to keep the dogs at bay.
Ah, come on. You know I had to put a Thor reference in there somewhere.
Congratulations, Excalibrate.
You know what you are? You're the lowest of the low. You use people for your own entertainment.
If I didn't know any better, I'd think you might possibly be evil, Mistima. And why the hell doesn't Paul use his wrist laser on him?
There is no way to penetrate this barrier.
Oh, I should have known. Mistima has plot armor. You'd think that as long as Paul has his wrist thingy, any challenge Mistima throws his way should be a cakewalk, but the dummy takes a nap and allows two little people to steal it. Everything Paul's been through so far, and he's gonna be defeated by two extras from Willow. By the way, this segment was directed by David Allen, a stop-motion animator who worked on several other movies for Charles Band, like Puppet Master, Robot Jocks, and Dr. Mordred. And if you need more proof this part was directed by a stop-motion animator, I'd say that's a pretty good sign. Oh, come on, Brandon's not reviewing a Godzilla movie or a Ray Harryhausen movie. Leave me alone, will ya? I gotta admit, this might be my favorite segment of the movie, but then again, I'm a sucker for stop-motion effects like this. Luckily for Paul, he got his wrist warmer back, and if you were wondering how he defeats this thing, he zaps it with his laser. Of course. At this point, I think even Mistima's figured out how all of his challenges are going to end and makes Paul another offer.
I have a proposition for you, Excalibrate. Your freedom for,
Oh, he wouldn't. Not even 1 minute even consider, would you, Paul?
And to sweeten the deal, I'll even let you excalibrate in the corner while you watch. He also offers Paul riches, although again, if Paul was interested in that, he would have gotten rich off all the amazing technology he invented. Well, maybe women will make him change his mind.
3 for 1. My best offer. Yours. For as long as you can tolerate the ecstasy.
No way, Mistima. I'd never cheat on my girl. Outside of my dreams, that is. Mistima, however, doesn't like getting rejected and decides to level up his acting in Nick Cage or two. You know the weird thing about all these Nick Cage comparisons? Mistima is the type of role that Nicolas Cage would play today. Look, we blew a lot of the budget on the stop-motion effects in the last segment, so let's just shoot this next part in an alley. Bad news, Paul. It looks like there's a killer after your girlfriend. Good news, the education bill was met with overwhelming support. Alright, the killer's gotta be from a Charles Band movie. Hopefully it's not Klaus Kinski from Crawl Space. Paul ends up getting found by the cops and arrested under suspicion of murder. Damn, if only he had a high-tech wrist thingy that could get him out of this situation.
So what are you supposed to be in that outfit? Gumby?
Oh, fucking nailed it, bro. He totally looks exactly like Gumby. Got him. Hey, there's your girlfriend. Who's she supposed to be, Fred Flintstone? I saw somebody and then referenced a thing.
Hey, you're a funny guy, now shut up.
Fuck you, it's my video. Of course, we all know Paul isn't the killer. Instead, the culprit is half-mullet generics in here. Jeez, even this guy's weapons are low-key. You don't have a chainsaw lying around or something? Speaking of weapons, if you thought Paul's wrist thing could do whatever the plot required before, not only is he able to laser his way out of his handcuffs, but he can also remotely control the car's door locks too. At the risk of sounding repetitive, after he's done dealing with Satan, Paul should really find a way to make some money off this. Oh, and remember when they mentioned that Paul likes to run earlier? Well, guess what? That was actually important to the plot. Kind of. See, they showed him running. That was worth the setup.
Are they still holding the audition?
Look, dude, we're almost an hour in. I'm pretty sure you got the part. Paul better hurry up and rescue Gwen. And I'm not just saying that because this is one of the blander sequences. Okay, I know I keep saying this, but that was easy.
Paul, I don't think I can go through this anymore.
Look, relax, Gwen. There's 2 more segments, and then the movie's over, I promise. I think Mystima's starting to get a little pissed off that Paul's completing his challenges so easily. He gets so mad he even summons Satan. Although, wait, I thought he was supposed to be Satan. Whatever, on to the next challenge. This segment is called Cave Beast, although at this point I think Mystima's getting a little lazy and starting to repeat himself. It's just Paul entering a cave again and going up against another John Carl Beechler monster that throws icicle grenades at him.
So this is the challenge, huh? You even need the computer for this?
You know, maybe you should just zap it with your wrist thingy. I mean, it's worked with literally every other challenge so far. Turns out Paul doesn't even need to zap this thing though, since it causes a cave-in and kills itself. Okay, is it me or are Mystima's challenges getting even easier now? But here's a twist. Turns out the monster was actually an angel. An angel with a see-through top and PG-13 nipples. Okay.
You didn't listen. You would have won by simply walking out of the cave.
Well, that was a pretty amazing challenge that Mystima thought of. Just walk away and do nothing. Oh, and if you think the angel dying means Mystima won and gets to have Paul and Gwen's souls, nope. Instead, he just gives him another challenge, but not before delivering a very weird monologue.
I remember when I was a lad, we found a cat.
I adopted him and named him Mr. Whiskers. No joke, Richard Mall gives a speech about him finding and torturing a cat as a little boy. This just raises some questions, like Satan was a little boy at one point, and instead of causing plagues or famines, he just tortured cats like some snot-nosed neighborhood kid? Maybe that's why Mystima is not able to think of better challenges for Paul.
Animals can be such fun.
Seriously, Phoebe Cates' speech about her dad dressing up as Santa and getting caught in the chimney from Gremlins was less out of left field than this.
Ahimsa.
A what's-a?
Ahimsa. Respect for every living being. For every creature that can feel.
Okay, Paul, you're talking to the devil here. I don't think telling him to be nice is gonna work. Alright, time for one last challenge. This time, both Paul and Gwen are zapped smack dab in the middle of an Italian Mad Max ripoff, complete with not 1, but 3 Lord Humonguses. Actually, wait, I think these vehicles are from Metal Storm: The Destruction of Jared's Sin, so they actually got zapped into a Charles Band Mad Max ripoff. Oh shit. Probably should have talked about that movie first. Well, maybe someday. Boy, how is Paul gonna get out of this one?
Fire!
Say it with me, everyone. That was easy. Alright, it's not quite over yet. We got a little bit left in the budget, so might as well show it off. Surprisingly, this is one part where Paul doesn't just win by zapping shit with his wristband. Instead, he gets Gwen to do it. Unfortunately for Paul, there wasn't enough in the budget to fix the brakes on this thing. Just kidding. Instead, Mystima zaps him back, so not really sure what the point of that challenge was. At this point, Paul figures out a way to beat Mystima by challenging his manhood.
I, the Excalibrate, challenge you to a real contest.
Okay, Paul, it would be a lot more intimidating if you didn't refer to yourself as the Excalibrate. Paul challenges Mystima to beat him in hand-to-hand combat with no magic, and considering Richard Mall is 6'8", that seems like a great idea. But if there's one thing I know about Richard Mall's previous appearances on this show, it's that the only way to defeat him is to get him to fall. Well, looks like Paul killed Satan. Apparently. But oh no, how's he gonna get out of this situation? Of course his wristband thingy can do that. Sure, why not? And so Paul and Gwen are zapped back into Paul's apartment, the day is saved, and the movie ends really abruptly.
Let's get married. Well, I talked it over with Cal and it all adds up.
Ah, looks like somebody won't have to Excalibrate tonight. Alright, movie's over, I had to get one more in. Okay, so there's the first Charles Band anthology flick I've ever done on this channel, but how does it stack up against the other films of his I've featured? Normally with these kinds of movies I complain when they're too long, but this one has the opposite problem. The Dungeonmaster clocks in at just an hour and 18 minutes, and around 10 minutes of that are credits, so as a result, most of the segments feel like they're over before they've even had a chance to start. Also, despite the framing setup with Mystima, this does feel like just a collection of segments rather than a coherent movie. It's not all bad though. Richard Mall is clearly having a good time playing the villain, and the sheer variety of the segments means that it's never boring, even if it never quite comes together as a complete movie. There is one lingering question I have though, which is, what the hell did that opening scene have to do with the rest of the movie? Well, I guess we'll never know. Well, it's all for now. Until next time.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.